Here on Darren Daily, and in my book, The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster, I talk about the inspiring Newsweek article a friend of mine pointed out that explained how only about 10 people will cry at your funeral, and how actually relieving that was to me. Well, another friend of mine further pointed out that not only will only about 10 people care enough that you are dead to cry, there will be far more than 10 people who will be happy that you're dead. WTF? Yeah, he said. Think about those people who now get to live in your houses and drive your cars, all the people at the Goodwill who will experience a windfall of new clothes and great shoes and expensive briefcases for cheap. They'll be thrilled that you're dead. Think about the guy at the crematorium, or the urn salesperson, or the funeral home, or the local florist and the caterer. They're all going to be happy. They just got a new customer. No doubt that guy in high school who always hated you, that ex-girlfriend that you teed off, and all your competitors, it's likely they'll do a little jig when you're dead too. That's a lot more than 10 people. And this is true for anyone. There were people who were happy, if you can believe it, when John F. Kennedy died, when Gandhi died, Martin Luther King Jr., and even Mother Teresa, even Mr. Rogers. Just think of that for a second. Hell, there was a whole populace of people who were happy when Jesus of Nazareth died, for Christ's sakes. The great Roman emperor, Marcus Aurelius, wrote more than 1,800 years ago, "It doesn't matter how good a life you've led. There'll still be people standing around the bed who will welcome the sad event. Even with the intelligent and the good, won't there be someone thinking, finally, to be through with that old school teacher. Even though he never said anything, you could always just sort of feel him judging you," he said. Isn't all this a humbling thought? Although a tad horrifying, I actually find this information awesomely liberating. Seriously, most all the pain that you experience in life is the fear of what others think of you. That is why you feel uncomfortable in an environment of strangers. It is why you are intimidated to introduce yourself to someone that you don't know. It is why you don't like standing up and speaking in front of a small group of people. It is why you don't really like selling, or networking, or negotiating, or presenting, or recruiting, or speaking up and asking questions. It's why you worry about what you look like all the time. It's why you wear uncomfortable clothes, uncomfortable shoes, uncomfortable eyelashes, and color your hair. You are worried about what people think of you constantly. So, isn't it incredibly freeing that 1, less than 10 people give a rat's arse? Number 2, and way more than 10 people are just waiting for the happy day when you croak. Doesn't that make you stop giving a flippin' hoot what people think of you? Doesn't it prevent you from getting too wound up in trying to please everyone all the time? I think it's a relief to finally realize no matter how good and virtuous you are, most people don't care. No matter how successful you are, not everyone is rooting for you. Here's what to do instead. Be your best you. For you, not for anyone else, just for you. And just smile and wave to everybody else. You can use your whole hand or maybe just one of the fingers. The choice is yours. So Brad says, "Doctor, I don't know what to do. Every day my wife seems to lose her temper for no reason, and it scares me." The doctor says, "I have a cure for that. When it seems that your wife is getting angry, just take a glass of water and start swishing it in your mouth. Just swish and swish, but don't swallow it until she either leaves the room or calms down." 2 weeks later, Brad comes back to the doctor looking fresh and reborn. Brad says, "Doctor, that was a brilliant idea. Every time my wife started losing it, I just swished the water. I swished and I swished, and she calmed right down. How does a glass of water do that?" The doctor says the water itself does nothing. It's keeping your mouth shut that does the trick. An old woman named Diane says, "Doctor, I have this bizarre condition. I fart all the time, but they don't smell and they're completely silent. You probably didn't notice, but I farted 6 times since you've entered the room." The doctor nods and writes a script. Take these and come back in a week. A week later, the old lady Diane comes back to the doctor. You terrible man. I don't know what you gave me, but it just made everything worse. I still fart all the time, but they are still silent, but they all stink. The doctor nods and says, well, we cleared your sinuses out. Now let's see what we can do about your hearing. You know, I want to die like my grandpa, sleeping peacefully, not desperately screaming like the people in the bus that he was driving. All right, have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll see you on the flip side.